Hello, everyone. My name is Chavalia-Mwamba. I am the perfumer and the owner of Pink Mahoghany Fragrances. And I have my beautiful guest today with me, Catrina. And we are going to chat a little bit about how fragrance causes you to basically transport to another place. And I'll be talking to you guys about how Pink Mahoghany helps to make that actually an experience for our what we consider our conscious consumers. So thank you so much, Catrina, for joining me on this Saturday.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I am too. I am too. So in Pink Mahoghany, one of the main aspects that I really wanted to, I guess, foster was to cater to conscious consumers without it being boring, because I realize how much scent plays a part in our memories, past, present, and future, creating new memories and just connecting to a scent, whether it be from a person that we had strong ties with, a family member, a loved one, or to kind of invoke a feeling of a place that we maybe never have even traveled to. So Pink Mahoghany is a brand that, even though we don't consider ourselves a 100% natural brand, I do feel like we cater to the conscious consumer because we are pretty transparent about the ingredients that are used and just try to help consumers to connect to myself as the perfumer as well as the brand as a whole. So as an aficionado, or should I say aficionades, if that's even a word, how do you view scent as helping you to tell a transport in a sense?
So for me, fragrance is very important because I've been into fragrance since I was 7 years old. That's a lot of years. I'm not gonna say my age, but been at it a long time. And just reflecting back on how I got into fragrance, Youth Do is a fragrance that I associate with my aunt. That's when I fell in love with fragrance for the first time. I was, playing in her closet in her vanity, and she had Youth Do. So I always get transported back to that memory. So that would be my first memory association that I had. But just
Mhm.
in general life, I think a lot of fragrances make you feel more confident. Some of them make you feel more relaxed. You just feel like ambitious.
Mhm.
There are certain notes that like totally trigger those things for you.
Right.
Like rose makes me feel, very sexy. Vanilla kind of mellows me out. If it's
Mhm.
citrus, I get energized. So yes, I feel like all fragrances teleport you to another place, time, event, or just a feeling.
Right, right, yeah. Yeah. So in the Pink Mahogany collection, there's one fragrance that I did not think was going to be so well received from both men and women. And I'm actually looking at the bottle right now. Is Posum Cournome. And Posum Cournome was really created because I wanted to transport to a vacation spot. I wanted to kind of embody the feeling of white sand,
Mm.
pineapple, the vanilla, as you mentioned, and just a really sweet smell. And personally, I'm not a sweet perfume individual, but when I created Posum Cournome, I knew that I wanted to use pineapple. I know that it's heavily used now, but when I created it in 2016, I knew for a fact that I wanted to really work with pineapple because when I smelled it, I was like, it can be quite dominant. And I wanted to find a way to balance that out to really invoke the feeling of going to the Bahamas or Jamaica or St. Lucia, and going and putting your feet in the sand and drinking a nice pina colada or a virgin mojito or something along those lines. So I wanted it also to be a fragrance that could be worn in the summer and the spring.
Mhm.
So really, that's the fragrance that I think in the collection, since I have six, in that collection, Posum Cournome is the fragrance that I really feel like helps people to connect to traveling, especially right now when travel is really a luxury
Yes.
because of the constraints that we have. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think that my first scent memory that caused me to be transported to another time was actually when I was little. I used to always smell pine trees the pine needles, pine cones.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I moved from a rural area and to the city, for some reason I got nostalgic and I wanted to smell that again.
Yeah.
So I went to the countryside in Dallas and just kind of drove around, let the windows down, and it brought me back to my childhood.
Oh.
So I think that scent, it doesn't necessarily just have to be bottled. It can be something from nature that helps to connect you or to bring those memories back. And I mean, they were flooding. Like I was thinking about being outside until 8, 9 o'clock, when the sun, it seemed like then the sun would really take its time setting. And just going outside and having that feel of nature. So that's one reason I think that people really connect to scent, and it causes them to have these types of memories is because they really tap into their sense of smell, so to speak. Okay. And it can be a good thing or maybe a not so pleasant thing, but nevertheless, the memories are created. And I think that's what makes scent itself, not just fragrance, but scent itself so powerful, is the fact that you can bottle it as well as be able to go outside and experience it in different ways, or even go to an establishment and you may smell something that reminds you of your childhood or something that your loved one used to wear. So do you have a current scent right now? And if so, how has that scent created memories for you?
Like I'm glad you brought that up because some memory associations are probably not good ones. Like let's say you go through a breakup, you had a breakup, even though that was 20 years ago maybe, and you're over it. If you smell the scent that you were wearing then, it's like you're almost like right back in that space and you might not wear it anymore. And for me, that's like Mambo. I think that's Liz Claiborne, if I'm not mistaken. Mambo takes me back there to a breakup. Right. So it can go good or bad. I've definitely had more great experiences than bad. I would say right now, Memoir Woman, that's a lot of association there. That was a time I was in a really, really great relationship at that time. And it's just like, it's always good feelings. The relationship didn't end bad or anything like that. It's really, really good feelings associated with that scent. It's spicy, it's sexy, it's that date night type of scent.
Yeah, and that brings me to my next point is that we tend to gravitate towards fragrances based on how they smell and associate that to create new memories. Like you said, whether it's for a future date, we pretty much already kind of know. I think most of the times if people are really in tune with scent and they wear it often, then they kind of know what they want to wear with a particular outfit. So it's pairing the garments and the attire with the fragrance for the whole experience. Right. And not just grabbing something and saying, okay, yeah, well, I'm just going to wear that. No, if it's a night out, then you know that you want to create some good memories, whether it's some fun memories, some romantic memories. So I think that we're going to gravitate towards something that may cause us to have pleasant memories and not overbearing memories, if that makes sense. So
yeah, I totally understand. So like for me, like a date night would be something spicy. What would that be like for you? What would you choose?
I think it would depend on where I was going. If I was going to say dinner, I would probably grab something that was a little bit linear, clean, on the clean side, maybe some soft florals. Depending on if it's cold outside, I probably might lean towards something that has some woodsy type notes, maybe. But I'm I love linear fragrances. Eccentric Molecules is actually the first brand that I experienced where I was like, wow, it's simple, but on the skin, it can be quite complex because of the molecules that are used. So
yes, I love that one. Yeah. I have that one. Yeah, I use that one regularly. I actually use it as a base. I'll spray that first and then spray another fragrance on top of that. It just kind of like amplifies everything because from my experience with that scent, like I can smell it sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't smell anything, but everybody around me is like getting a whiff of this.
Right,
It
right,
smells
right.
so good. So I think that's the cool part about that line. It's like now you see it, now you don't type of thing.
Right, right, exactly. And I didn't really use him as an Geza Shern. I didn't really use him as a inspiration. But Tandem in the collection is actually people have kind of related the two, simply because it has that same effect that where they're like they can't smell it, but everybody else can. So I think that just shows how powerful scent is, that even if we don't smell it, which I really don't think that we are meant to really smell the fragrance once we've sprayed it. Because once it's on us, I think we at some point we do become temporarily anosmic because it's on us.
Yes.
But because of the body heat, or when you pass by someone, they're going to have that experience. And I can recall several times where I've been at different establishments and I got a whiff of someone's fragrance. One of them that I still remember to this day by Hermes. I was at the bank and I was in college, and this gentleman walked past. It was summer. He walked past. He had on some like Sebago shoes and plaid shorts. See how I can remember everything that he had on? And a blue polo shirt and a hat. And he let me in first. He was really chivalrous. And when I passed him, I forgot what I was going into the bank for, because I was like, oh my gosh, he smells good. What is that? And it caused such a ruckus in my mind as an aficionado that I went to Saks Fifth Avenue. It was like 7:45. I was in there, they close at 9. I was in there for that particular amount of time trying to figure out what this man had on. I was like, I have got to have that. I don't care if it's for men. I don't care if it's unisex or gender neutral.
Right.
I've got to have that. I stayed in Saks that whole time, and the fragrance counter representative was helping me. She was like, okay, is it this? And I was like, no, that's not it. I don't know how many fragrances I smelled. And she was like, well, is it new? And I was like, I don't know. I had nothing to give her. Fortunately, I think by like the 5th or 6th bottle, for some reason, the bottle caught my attention. And the fragrance is Un Jardin in Mediterranean. So, it's that green bottle with the plastic cap on there. The bottle caught my attention. And I was like, can I smell this? So she sprayed it on the blotter for me. And as soon as I smelled it, I was taken right back to the bank.
Wow.
And I was like, this is it. Let me get that. I want that. What's the biggest size you have? Let me have it. So, I wasn't transported to a vacation spot per se, but I was instantly transported right back to Chase Bank, where I saw this gentleman and I was able to recall the exchange, everything that happened. So with Pink Mahoghany, that's one of the main things that I like to help. I don't like to say consumers, but to help the family, because once we are connected, I look at everybody as my family, because we really are, because we have the same interests.
Yeah.
So with Pink Mahoghany, I really wanted it to be an experience where people can connect and make those associations and say, man, this took me here, or man, every time I wear that, my lady she loves it, or we wear that when we go out. Or even I have couples who share the same fragrance. They share Pas and Fornome because they are like, well, look, either we're going to have 2 bottles or we're going to share this one. So, and that's really what helps me to keep going in the fragrance industry, are those types of experiences. It's not about the sales per se, or having a cult following, if you will. It's more about making sure that people understand that scent is all encompassing. I mean, we are constantly using our sense of smell, whether we want to or not. And to see people enjoying it, or getting those reviews or messages saying, hey, my mom loves a mother's love. She loves rose because it has rose in it. She loves to wear it on special occasions. Those are the types of associations that I want Pink Mahoghany to continue to create for the family members. And I think that goes along with the slogan, which is why I chose that: a good fragrance calls, an exceptional fragrance whispers. Because when you are creating these memories, they're intimate, especially if it's a date, if it's a first date, a blind date, or if you're celebrating an anniversary. Those are intimate moments and intimate memories that you want to have good associations with. So scent plays a huge part in that. And I'm glad at this point that Pink Mahoghany is at least able to assist in making those associations. So
yeah. Speaking of rose, I know you had mentioned rose. You know, a lot of people even make an association for, I guess they consider that an old lady fragrance.
I do.
And I did. No, like, okay, maybe your grandmother may have worn a fragrance that was similar to what you're picking up in a particular fragrance. And to me, that's more of an association. Because all rose scents are not alike. And it's like they counsel this whole group of rose fragrances based on one association. I'm like, no, just want to get out there and explore the different facets of rose. There's different types of roses, you know, and they evoke different things.
Yeah, and I definitely had a love-dislike relationship with rose for that very reason. My grandmother wore rose. It was like a powder that smelled very heavily like rose. So I had an aversion to it. When I was like, you know what, I'm going to step outside the box. I'm going to sample some rose fragrances and see, there may be one that I end up liking. And it was, I cannot remember the name of it, but it really helped me to say, you know what, rose is not, it doesn't smell like old lady. Perhaps how it's composed with other notes is what causes that.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I would smell rose, it immediately made me think of my grandmother. So when I created A Mother's Love, I was like, I don't want her to smell like grandmother-ish, if that, whatever grandmother-ish smells like.
And grandmothers are sweet. Grandmothers are sweet. So
yes. But I wanted to put a youthful spin on it. So in A Mother's Love, even though it's rose-based, I put notes of peach and pepper and musk, soft musk, so that it would kind of balance out the rose and give it a playful feel. And she loves it. I wasn't going to release it, but she loves it. So I went from having an aversion to rose, anything rose. I didn't even want to purchase rose essential oil or anything to work with, because I was like, I don't even want to work with it because it's going to stink. That's just, that's what I had in my head. But I got out of that and I said, I'm going to challenge myself. I want to do something nice for my mom. I want to create this memory, this scent memory for her. And when I created it and gifted it to her, she loved it. And she was like, you need to add this to the collection. And I was like, are you serious? So that's why it's added. So we're influenced by the people that we love. And I think that also influences the scent that we wear, because we want to connect in some way, form, or fashion. So
yeah, absolutely. And not to mention, I guess when you think of grandmothers, there's a certain image that comes to people's minds, but grandmothers today they're a little different.
You're right.
They're different. They're not that 1940s image that you're getting. We have different types of grandmothers these days. So.
Oh yes, definitely. But thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And thank you all who will be watching for listening to us. And I hope that you were able to create some scent memories. Yes. And I hope that you were able to think of some memories that you have while we were discussing today. This has been Chavalia with Pink Mahoghany, along with my guest, Catrina. A good fragrance calls, and exceptional fragrance whispers.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.